Another one is like a new pricing trigger. And so like, again, a lot of different things can impact the kind of ideal pricing for the services. And so just a simple tool that all it does is say, when these things happen, it's going to spit out like, hey, pricing should be X now. It doesn't automatically roll out new pricing to the business. But it does just tell us like, hey, this is what the pricing should be. And then it's much easier to have a conversation about, well, the timing isn't right. Or actually there's some things this model doesn't take into account and we should change it this way. Or it's just like a simple, hey, that triggered. Now we know it's a thing. Do this step to go roll out the new pricing. Another one is a tool from Amazon. They're famous for it. I don't know if they made it right, but it's called Write the PR Release. So this one's not a spreadsheet or a bot. This one's more like a writing exercise where it's like, if you want to launch a new program, a new plan, a new product, step one is write what the PR release is going to be. Share that with the team. And that's like this tool that helps everyone way more quickly get on the exact same page about what the vision of the outcome of this whole investment in this project is going to be. Is like, it's going to sound like this when we announce it. And that makes it a lot easier to challenge that, push back, ask the right questions, or go like, hey, we're all on the same page. We can do this. Two little tips down here, right? These tools are not supposed to be perfect. They're not supposed to be super high fidelity and infallible. They're supposed to just be a quick and dirty little tool, like we're having Taco Bell for dinner, that forces a conversation much more quickly than, hey, everyone, let's get in a room and ask, what should we do now? The other one is the especially like if you're using a spreadsheet for this, the numbers don't have to be perfect or right. They can be directionally true. They can be kind of based on just rounding roughly, what the impact of things would be. That's okay. It doesn't have to be perfect. It just needs, the tool itself needs to be kind of internally consistent, where it's like, a science fiction novel with like this, imagines the world very differently. Just all of the books in the series need to stick with the same imaginary physics that don't exist here. These tools need to just be internally consistent, where like if these things are true, then it would react this way. The main thing here that I want to like to take away from this is that when people feel like decisions are hard and aren't sure how they're made and whether we're going to make them correctly or on time, what I found is that these silly tools are super helpful, even though they're so silly. They work because everyone feels like the decisions and the outcomes are good, and that we're able to make decisions more quickly, helps me feel more confident in the whole process. And we don't have to sit in a spot so long where it's like, are we going to make a decision? What is the right decision?
Love it, Thomas. Appreciate it. Well, if there are questions from the audience, you can type them in the chat and we'll pick them up from there.
Great.
I think there are a couple of reactions to your session, which are particularly thought-provoking for me. Number one, you're essentially offering this idea of like, it can be technology tool, but it can be also like behavioral tools. It's essentially triggers to stimulate a behavior or like a reaction, essentially, that are relatively low stakes, get going somewhere as a starting point. Would you say that that's fair?
That's the real thing, right? Yeah. It's like, hey, what should we do is just a heavy blanket.
It's like conversation. Like, oh my God, that's such a big question. It's
so
kind
of. I got this little spreadsheet that says that we should double our pricing, and everyone's like, "No, we shouldn't. It should only be 70%."
Yeah, and then you have a conversation going.
Yeah. immediately, right
I
out of the gate.
love that. I love that.
Yeah.
It's essentially a way to avoid kind of like a analysis paralysis type of thing, right? Where you spend like days, weeks, months thinking about something, unpacking something, theorizing, strategizing about something, and then maybe like you don't really get to a meaningful enough decision or a meaningful enough outcome.
Mm-hmm. And there's a risk to put yourself out there sometimes with like trying to make a very serious recommendation and like, what are people going to say? How are they going to react? Right. If it's framed in a like, you know what, we should just go do this.
Right.
It's less scary to go ahead and make this recommendation because people are going to respond to it like, you know, like, actually, that's not so crazy. Right. Or, you know, like, that's silly. It should be whatever.
Are you crazy? Or, well, maybe that's not so crazy.
Exactly. Yeah.
I love it. And so, question, because essentially this whole thing hinges on the fact that there is someone willing to be that person.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
Which, like, for your company is you, clearly. But like, how, and you offered a few options to try this out for other people.
Yeah.
Is there something like special underlying this? Like, do you need to be comfortable being wrong, or do you need to be comfortable like with people thinking that you're crazy, or not necessarily?
No, because that's the other piece of this is we're also offloading the crazy from a personality onto these tools.
Right.
That like we start rolling our eyes about the in-state, out-of-state ratio bot. Right. Like instead of the person who feels like they have to like always be the bad person or the good person, or
you don't need a person because now it's this idea. You're
the
like
tool takes on the thing that we're all kind of like throwing darts at and be like, oh, tool, you're silly. It takes the pressure off the
person from the crazy idea, from the like triggering concept or like proposal.
Yeah, make the tool's the toy.
Not it's the tool that's super dumb and crazy and like doesn't understand.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
I love it. I love everything about it. Thomas, thank you so much. This was great. For the audience, let Thomas know how their session was with this quick survey that you can see in the chat. Thomas, we'll see you soon.
Thank you so much. It's so good to see you.